Hello there! So today is going to be a fun one. We're going to break down how you can create your very own coding agent, and it'll be completely sandboxed so that any code that executes will not affect your computer. So to do this, of course, we'll be using atomic agents for the actual agent. And in order to be able to execute our generated code, we will be using Terrarium by CrewAi. Alright, and here we are inside of the project, as you will find it in the link in the description. It's on GitHub in case you want to follow along. So the first thing we will want to do is make sure we have Terrarium up and running. One of the ways to do that is of course to clone Terrarium and follow the instructions in their README, but I have gone ahead and provided this Docker Compose file. So the first thing we will want to do is change into the Cohere Terrarium directory, and we will want to run Docker Compose. And as you can see, I already have it running, but if not, after some time you should see that it spins up everything necessary. So once that is all up and running, you should be able to go to this demo Terrarium file and you should be able to run it. And after a short while, you will see that you have some output here. So what happened? We have a string here, which is just containing some Python code. In this case, a simple test to generate some numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. We are sending exactly this string through a HTTP request inside of this code property. And after a while we get a response, and we get that response back as a JSON as well. So here's a string that we are sending. We just print it in a nice way for debugging purposes. And in the end, when we get the result, we print it, we print the output. And yeah, that's a simple test. That's up and running, it works. So yeah, if you're already familiar with atomic agents, then you're already gonna have an idea of how simple this is going to be. And the first thing we will want is we will want to make a tool. And just like any tool within the atomic agents framework, we have an input schema, which in this case is just the code, similarly to how we were just sending the code in this demo right here. And this is just going to be a string, again, just like how it's just a string here. And we have our output schema. This matches the output that we get from the Terrarium. So in this case we have a success, we have a standard output, standard error, we have a final expression and the runtime. We have a configuration where we can change the base URL and the timeout. And then finally we have the actual tool, which just has the input schema, output schema, configuration, and a run method. And in this run method we basically just encapsulate the request that we were doing earlier. And finally we return everything neatly wrapped up in our output schema. Great, simple, right? So next up, we will have to define our agent. And this is where we have a lot of freedom to experiment and a lot of ways we can tackle this. Here is what I went for, but feel free to change this agent in any way you see fit. So we have a task description. We have our requirements that we want to be able to give to the agent. We have a technical analysis here, which is going to be a list of strings with a minimum length of 3 and a maximum length of 10. In this case, I chose to generate the code in the following way. I want a list of imports that are going to be on the top. I have a description here, which also is sent to the AI. And here I have some examples. We have the functions, which is going to be a list of strings as well, which is the list of helper functions. So again, we have an example here to make it really easy for the AI to understand. And then a main guard clause, which is going to be the code that actually executes these functions. Making sure that our API key is set. We are going to use OpenAI, but you can just use another provider here. If you want to use Ollama and have it fully locally, you can do that. And we will use GPT-4o Mini. We also instruct the agent that it has access to some libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, and some other libraries that are very common. Some steps to make it clear that the AI has to take the input, do the analysis, generate the functions, generate the main guard class, and finally output everything. And just some general output instructions saying that the output should be as clean and professional as possible. Finally, we just have a main file. So we have our agent that we import. We import the input schema. We also import the tool and the input schema to the tool. What we do here is we run the code generation agent with our task description and our requirements. In this case, the description is going to be create a text analyzer that processes a string of text and returns statistics including the total word count, average word length, and most frequent word. And we also have some extra requirements such as must be able to handle empty strings gracefully, should ignore case when counting words, should ignore punctuation, and it should handle ties for the most frequent word by returning the first one alphabetically. Then we run that, and that should give us a technical analysis. It should give us the imports, the functions, and the main guard class exactly in the way that we want it as we defined it here. If you go for a different output schema here, then of course you will have to modify your code here. And in the end, we just concatenate all of that together and we pass it into our terrarium tool, we let it run, and we read the standard output and the final expression. So let's go ahead and run that and see what that gives us. And once that has ran, you should see something along these lines. So we have an analysis here. The AI output this, by the way. So the task is to create a text analyzer that computes statistics from a given string of text. The required statistics include total word count, blah 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 blah. The implementation will involve cleaning the text, remove punctuation, and so on. All of this, of course, helps perfect our output. And so what it output here is we have our imports, which is a list of strings as we requested. We have a function dedicated to cleaning the text, one to analyze the text, and we have our main guard class and our execution results. So our code executed successfully with a total word count of 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's correct. We have our average word length of 4.0, and the most frequent word is hello. Indeed, so we have hello here, and we have hello again, and word also appears 2 times, but our request was to alphabetically just return the first word. So in this case, that's hello, because hello comes before world. So yeah, that's it really. If you enjoyed this and if you thought this was useful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for any future videos like this. I have a few things in the pipeline that I think you guys really like. Feel free to get connected with me through any of the socials in the description. And yeah, I'll leave it there for today. Have a good one.